Afternoon. How is everyone today on this glorious afternoon? Anybody there? I've come on a bit early. I like to come on about 5 minutes before the live starts so that we can get a few people on, get settled, get comfortable, get your cup of tea ready or cup of coffee. If you're popping on, say hello. Don't say hello, type hello, because I can't hear you. Isn't it gorgeous day today now? Well, it is here anyway, in sunny Wales. Lovely and sunny outside. Got a nice view of my back garden. The sun shining on the lawn. Afternoon, Annie. Hello, Janet. How are you both? Are you well? Is it nice and sunny where you are? I'm sitting here admiring the sunny day, and I'm forgetting to do my my admin. There we are. Let me just post a quick link to the website, just in case you want to see any of the products that we're using today, or some of them anyway. Pin. Oh, that's pinned. Ooh, Annie went out this morning and got drowned. Oh dear. That's not good. Oh, but you didn't want to miss seeing me. Oh. Hello. That's as far as you're going to get. My hands. If you get a chance, it'd be lovely if you could share this. Share this, what's it called? A live. Yes, that's the one. You can share this live for me. That would be fab if you can put it on your timelines or in any crafty groups that you're a member of. That would be marvellous. Bit quiet today, isn't it? Not many people on. If you're popping on, say hello. I'll start at 2 o'clock. I hope you're all still there anyway. Facebook has this wonderful habit of telling me that the feed has ended every so often. Hi Shira! How are you? Ooh, I'm getting quite warm up here. It's so sunny outside. Ooh, I need a little fan, I think. Righty-ho, I'll start making a start, shall I? For the dedicated few who have joined me this afternoon. I'm always bubbly, Shira. It's a beautiful day. What's there to be sad about, eh? Right, so I'm gonna, what I thought I would do today was just do some various different techniques with one of our lovely new stencils, which is the Clouds stencil, as you can see. It is the cloud stencil. This is one of the 6x6 stencils from Creative Expressions, designed by Sue Wilson as well. There's 4... Oh, I need to give this a clean really. There's 4 new stencils. There's the clouds, there's a swirly one, there's a sort of a scallopy one, which is a bit like seashells it's called, I think. It's a little bit Art Deco as well, which is quite nice. And then there's a palm tree scene sort of thing, because she's gone down doing a bit of a beach vibe. Ready for the summer to come. So I thought I'd do a couple of different techniques just to show you what you can do with stencils, or some of the things you can do with stencils, because I'm probably not going to show you everything. And I also wanted to finish off by showing you this fab technique. Let me see if you can see this on the camera. Ooh! Don't know if you can see the texture in there. It's fab. But this is a technique that... Oh, hi Helen, thank you for joining us. This is a technique that Janet, one of our customers, Janet, who should be watching I think at the moment, showed me the other week, and I thought that was amazing. I loved it, so I thought I've got to give that a try. So I gave it a bit of a go at the weekend and really impressed with it. Really liked that. So I'll be showing how to do that, and this one is another one I've had a bit of a play with. Let me show you that up close as well. Bit of sparkle, bit of bling. What more do you want, eh? Really. So all I've done is I've just made that into a really simple card, because at the end of the day, that's all you need, really. I'm not into fancy cards. Right, so let's crack on. I'm going to try and keep it as tidy as possible, but don't hold me to it. Oh, thank you, Shira. Shira says it's so pretty. And Annie says, every cloud has a silver lining. It is true then. Exactly, Annie, exactly. So what I've done is I've pre-cut some sheets of card. All I've done is more or less cut an A4 sheet in half, just for demo purposes. And then you can cut it down to whatever size you want, or you can leave it that size. Because these are 6x6 stencils, they fit quite nicely within that little bit there. So the one thing I always do when I'm stenciling is use stencil tape. So we sell the low tax stencil tape in the shop, which is really good because it's low tax, so it's not going to be too sticky. So the first technique, I think the first one that I'm going to do, and some people always, they use loads of stencil tape as well, and they put it all the way over, and you can do that if you want, but I tend to be a little bit more economical, and I just think, well, as long as it's held down a little bit, that's the main thing for me. Obviously it would depend on the technique that you're doing. Afternoon, Donna. How are you? Enjoying this lovely weather? Well, certainly this afternoon anyway. It wasn't this morning, was it? Yeah, so I'm just going to hold it down just on the sides really, just to keep it on my mat. And I've just got my Mylar mat here. I wouldn't advise doing it straight on the table, because if you do get any of your mediums onto the table, even though they're all water based, you don't want to mark it at all. So I'm using my Mylar mat, but you could use one of the brown non-stick craft sheets. You could use a glass cutting mat as well if you've got one of those. Anything like that is fine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some inks, some pigment inks, and one of our fab little blending brushes. We're going to be getting some more of these in soon, because we've sold out of them at the moment. And then all I'm going to do, this is a really pale colour. We're not doing all of these anymore, but this is a baby blue sort of shade. So all I'm going to do is just go in with the baby blue all over. Because these are clouds, clouds tend to be quite subtle anyway, don't they? You know, you don't want really strong colours in your clouds. I don't know, you might do, you might want stormy clouds. But I don't want stormy clouds because we've had enough of storms, haven't we? Afternoon, Gaynor, how are you? Hope you're well. If everyone can share the live, that would be fabulous. Help to spread some of the love. The nice thing about these brushes as well is if you're using them on a really intricate stencil, they really pick up all of the different areas. So I'm just gonna work my way around. You can sort of see it's very subtle, but that's because I'm using a subtle colour. If I use a stronger colour, it would be more in your face. So then if I quickly carefully peel this one side of it off, then I can show you what that looks like. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it? Oh, I like that. Now, do I try something else, or is that going to spoil it, do you think? That's always the problem, isn't it? Is whether you do a little bit more, or whether you just, because that's really nice and subtle, that is. I do like that. I'm gonna quickly. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna reposition my stencil. Over the top, as best as I can anyway. Because these are pigment inks, they do stay wet for a little bit longer. And then I'm going to try using something else. So I'm going to use one of our finger daubers. So we do have the full boxes of the finger daubers, but we also sell a pack of 3 of the little ones, which is quite handy, because if you don't want to buy the full set of however many there are in there, then you can buy a pack of 3 and see how you get on with those. There we are. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit of ink, and I'm going to try very carefully to just ink the bottom parts of my clouds, just to get a little bit of dimension. Got to be careful not to go too much into the other ones. Doesn't matter if you do, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, is it? But these are quite handy, these little daubers, because you can be a little bit more precise with your inking. It's looking quite nice. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. What's the weather like where everyone is? Is it nice and sunny? It was nice and sunny here until I spoke, and now it's gone a bit overcast. There we are. So just quite happily go all the way around and do all of these, blah 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 blah. So quite an easy thing to do, but it should be quite effective, especially with the clouds. A nice bit of dimension. There we are. So these are really handy, these ones, these little ditty ones. And you don't have to put your finger in them. If you've got chunkier fingers, you don't have to put your finger in them just because they've got the thingy for it. You can just hold them like that, and that will give you just the same effect. If you do have the big case of them, then you can have specific ones for specific colours rather than having to clean them after every time, so that's good. Just grab a bit of scrappy. Just take some of the excess off of there, like that. And put that in there. It's a nice way of containing them, actually. So you could use, I got smoothies. Smoothies is something else you could use. We've got the big ones and we also do the smaller ones. So they're something else that you could use, or you could use the blending tools if you've got any of those. That's another alternative. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off and take that off there, so I can show you what it looks like. Well, so that's just a simple background with ink, with two shades of ink, so it just gives you a bit more dimension with your clouds. And what I'm also going to do, because I've got some texture paste here, this is clear texture paste. It's the Cosmic Shimmer texture paste. Comes in a 150 milliliter pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to put some texture paste over the top. I'll be using texture paste a few times in this live. So if anyone hasn't seen texture paste before, you will have by the end of this demo. So I'm just going to use my nice clean tea towel just to wipe off the ink. Just give that a bit of a dry. I want it to be clean and dry because I don't want it to mess up when I put the texture paste over the top. So, put my stencil back over the top. You don't have to do this, you could just leave it as it is, but it's quite nice because it's clouds. Clouds are quite fluffy and textured, aren't they? So it's a nice little technique to do. Use my same pieces of stencil tape, of course, over the top. Everyone's very quiet. Anyone crafting this afternoon? Got any plans? So this is a water-based texture paste. So it's ideal because it'll clean off with water, which is fab. So you don't have to worry about any harsh chemicals or anything like that. And this is the clear. It looks white when you have a look at it, but once it's dried, it does go clear. They do sell a white one as well, but I don't think we've got any of that in stock at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my palette knife to just butter my bread, basically. So if you've got one of the those nice metal spatula things, I can't remember what they call them now. There's a particular name for them, isn't there? We used to have them years ago when we used to do Dreamweaver stencils. So some of you might have those, in which case you can just put blobs of the paste at the top and then just drag it down. Or you could use a ruler as well, something else that you could use. Anything that's got a flat surface to it, really. Anyone got any questions? Sometimes it's nice to just have a bit of a play, just not do anything in particular, just have a play doing different techniques, just to see how things work. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work properly, it's only a piece of card and a little bit of time. It's not the end of the world, is it? Yeah, so I've just gone over the top of that, and as you can see, I'm scraping off the excess all the time, so you hardly use any of the paste at all. Just put my finger in that one over there. So you're constantly scraping off the excess. So that pot will last you for ages. Oh, hi Liz. Auntie Liz, how are you? Right, and then what I'm going to do is, after I've applied the texture paste with to my stencil using my palette knife, I've got a bowl of water down here, and I'm just going to make sure that I clean it in my bowl of water, so that it's nice and clean for the next technique that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to take my stencil tape off, low-tack stencil tape, and because I've only used a little bit, I've only wasted a little, well, I haven't wasted it, but I've only got a little bit to throw out. So, and then I'm going to carefully lift up my stencil, chuck that in my bowl to soak for 2 minutes, and then I shall show you this. So you can see it's all shiny at the moment, which is the clear texture paste. But because I've used the clear texture paste, the ink will show through once it's dried. So it gives it a bit of texture as well. I don't know if you can see the actual texture, but it's the thickness of the stencil. So that's quite fun. Hello, Teresa. How are you? Long time no see. There we are. So that is that. So what I would do is I'd probably leave that for, depends on the thickness of your texture paste, but I'd leave that for maybe an hour or so, just to let that dry. And as it dries, it'll go clear. So at the end of the live, if I remember, I'll show you what it looks like. It might be a bit clearer by then. You can heat it as well, which I will be doing later as my last technique, and that gives a bit more texture as well, which is good for clouds, but maybe not so good for some other things. So that's that. So is everyone like that? Happy? I'm happy. You happy? So I'm just gonna give my matte with my squirt with my nice bottle, just to keep it clean. These tea towels aren't the best, they're not very absorbent. But my microfiber cloth is better for that, so there we are. So as long as you keep your workspace clean, you're not going to get in any mess. You're not going to cause any problems. So let me just give my knife a quick clean. Thank you, Liz. And I'll give my stencil a quick scrub. Just got a little brush here that I'm using. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Shira. Anyone got any questions so far? Or are we all happy? Oop, sun's coming out again. Woohoo! Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to show you. Oh, that's the thing, I've got all sorts of different things I could show you. The next thing I was going to try was... right, let's colour some texture paste. So because this is the clear texture paste, so whatever colour I put into it will just be the colour that I put into it. If you use a white texture paste, then the colour is obviously going to be a bit more soft. A bit more softer. Obviously I wouldn't use any other colour texture paste. You can get other colour texture pastes, but quite frankly, clear and white are probably the best to get, because you can mix all sorts of different things into those texture pastes. And then you're not limited then, whereas if you buy a texture paste that is pre-glittered or a particular colour, then you tend to be a bit stuck. So value for money wise, I'd go for clear, and I'll have to see if we can get the white in again. Ooh, hi Shira. Shira's asking, can you use alcohol inks to colour it? That's a very good question. I might have to try if I can find my alcohol inks. Where are my alcohol inks? I might have to see if I can try. You could use, because it's a water-based product, you could certainly use water-based inks. So if you've got any of the re-inkers or any sort of liquid inks you could use. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to use alcohol inks. It's just how well it would blend. I might have to give that a go. Good question, Shira. So what I'm going to use is I'm actually going to use some Pixie Sparkles. Ooh, groovy grape. So I've got a little pot here that I'm going to mix it in. Just a little pot. And all I'm going to do is just get a little bit of me texture paste. Obviously, you're not going to be able to put this back into the pot after you've coloured it. But I'm just going to put a little bit of texture paste into there. Probably put too much, but there we are. I'm terrible at judging these things. And then I'm going to get some of my... Hooray, says Annie. Some of my Pixie Sparkle. And just give it a bit of a mix. See what it does. See if you like the colour. If you want it a bit stronger, then you can go a bit stronger. Obviously, because this is the clear texture paste, it does mean that the colour will strengthen as it dries. But I love purple, so I'm going to put a nice strong bit of purple in there. I haven't actually tried this yet, so I don't know if the glitter, the mica, will actually show through. I would assume not, because it's in the clear paste. but you never know, it might do. There we are, so that's all mixed up. You can mix it as much as you want. Teresa's just ordered the stencil and the paste. I've got lots of techniques to show you, so I'll show you some more as well. So I'll probably just do a little bit of this rather than the whole thing this time. So I tend to I tilt it because I like to when I'm, buttering my toast, it's just easier. So you just find the way that's easiest for you. And then just butter your toast. Because these are pixie sparkles, there are little bursts of colour that come out. So that's why you're seeing there's little specks of blue appearing here and there as well, which is quite nice. Oh, I'm going to have so much to mess around with after this, aren't I? There we are. Make sure that they're all nice and coated. Bit of a dry bit there. There we are, so take off the excess. And then I'll just leave that in that pot. Make sure you've got a pot that you can put a lid on as well. Because if you put a lid on, then it's going to stay airtight and it won't dry out. Yep. I'm so predictable, aren't I, Annie? Annie's asked if you could use pixie sparkles with the texture paste, and I've already done it. There we are. So if you've got any of your texture paste on the stencil tape, you probably won't be able to reuse it, which is why I only use a little bit, because it goes a longer way then. And then get my nail under there, if I can get my nail under there, and then lift that up carefully, chuck that in my bowl. Well, so I've only done a little bit, so that's why there's a bit of mess at the top and the bottom. So there we are. So you can see the sort of the blues, the little blue bits that are in there as well, because it's which one did I use? I used Groovy Grape, Pixie Sparkle, because there's other little colours in there as well. It all reacts with the water in the texture paste. There we are. So that's another one. So I'll put that to the side, and we'll have a look at that at the end. How's this one doing? This one's and still drying. Give this a quick wipe. Use this one again, it's easier. Squirts better. La 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 la. There we go. Give my stencil a quick scrub. To be honest, most of the texture paste actually comes off. If you put it straight into water, most of the texture paste does seem to sort of come off anyway, so you don't really need to scrub it very much. Either Ian's home or I've got a burglar in the house. There we are. So just give my palette brush and palette knife a clean as well. There we are. Right, so now I'm going to try using some what they call gilding polishes. I don't know if it'll work because we're a bit low on them. I did give them a quick squirt because these are water based as well, the gilding polishes. What colour should I use? I'm leaning towards the chocolate bronze actually. Might give the chocolate bronze a go. Yeah, because they're running a bit low, our ones. But I did give them a quick squirt beforehand, just to reactivate them. Because they're water-based products, you can just give them a quick squirt, and it's a good idea to, after you've finished using them every time, just give them a quick squirt of water, and then screw them back up again, and then they should be ready for when you need them next.
Hi everyone!
Ian hath arrived.
But, ooh, lovely. Yeah, nice. Pixie.
Yes, yeah. Groovy grape.
Ooh, lovely.
Pixie sparkle. I'm going to try with me gilding polish now.
Ooh, nice.
If it works.
I'm going down on the
Okie doke.
thing so I can answer questions.
So gilding polishes, if anyone doesn't know, they come, and he says hi. They come like that. There is an applicator in the top, and the easiest way to take the applicator off, rather than trying to pull it because it's really difficult, is to just use your two thumbs and just push it sideways, and then you'll find that it releases really easily. And then you can unscrew the lid. If you turn the lid upside down, then that's your little resting place for your polish, which is quite handy as well. And then this is the polish in here. So I have given it a bit of a squirt with some water, and then I'm just going to use the applicator to just try and get some of that polish onto there. Hopefully it should work. It does seem to be moving. It's just that we haven't used these for a long time, so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant about it, but I think we should be okay. And then depends on the stencil that you're using. If you're using quite an intricate stencil, then it's best to pounce rather than to rub. So I'll try both, shall I? So if I just rub across the stencil. Sometimes when you rub across, it does tend to sort of go underneath. So it depends on the sort of effect you're looking for, really, because sometimes you want it to have that sort of effect. Sometimes it looks a bit like a sort of a shadowy effect, doesn't it? Yeah, so just get a little bit more of that on my applicator. And then the bottom half I'm going to pounce, and you get a much more textured finish. And I think with the clouds it's quite a nice effect, pouncing like this. And there, it's a bit rougher as well. It's not quite as precise. The clouds are going to be a bit more rough. So yeah. So like as I said, once you've finished using your texture paste, not your texture paste, your gilding polish, just give it a couple of spritzes of water. Put the lid back on again. And every so often I would give your sponge a good rinse, because it can tend to get a little bit crusty on the flat surface there. But don't worry, just rinse it under the tap and it will come off. So I'll probably give it a quick rinse under the tap a bit polish the live. So it's a good way of maintaining your polishes, and then you know you're not going to have any problems when it comes to using them. So again, carefully take my tape off. Lift my stencil up, and these are water based as well, so I can just chuck my stencil in my bowl of water, and there we are. So as you can see, if I bring it up to the camera, this half is when I actually went across with the applicator, so you can see it's all it has sort of collected on the right hand side, but that actually looks quite nice. It gives it more of a sort of a three-dimensional effect. And then the bottom part is what I pounced, so it gives it a lot more texture, and the clouds tend to be a bit more sort of fluffy. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? I quite like that. And of course, it's because it's a gilding polish, it's all shiny as well, which is nice. It dries really quickly as well. That's more or less dry now. But I will leave that to the side just to dry for a little bit more. Everyone like that? Happy so far? And he's asked if you could use gilding wax. Yes, you could use gilding wax. Gilding wax tends to be a bit more, a bit thicker and harder. You tend to have to use your finger to warm up the gilding wax, but yeah, you could use gilding wax, but you'd probably need to use your finger to apply it. Give the stencil a quick rinse. And smellier, yes, that's true. Yeah, gilding waxes do tend to be a bit smellier, don't they? So these are nice durable stencils as well. I'm not sure what the thickness of the mylar is, but they are very durable. So should last you a long time. As long as you clean them, you'll be fine. Yes, that is true, Ian. They would be harder to get off your stencil as well. Gilding waxes. Right. So there's a couple more techniques that I wanted to show you. So I'm gonna get another piece of card and find my stencil tape. Bit more stencil tape. And just stick it over the edge. I'm just making sure that I don't, because there's a little cloud right on the edge there. I just make sure that I don't put my stencil tape over that cloud. And the same on that side. And then the next one I'm going to do, I was going to use some, what was I going to do next? Was I going to do the glitter one next? Yes. Yes, I was going to do the glitter one next. So this one here, I did with glitters. So just plain old fine, nice fine glitters and the texture paste, and you get a really nice effect with that. It's very hard to tell if you can actually see the glitters shining. You can probably see the texture paste more than the glitters. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get some more texture paste out. Oh yes, glitter, glitter everywhere. It certainly will be by the time I've finished. And again, buttering my bread. So a bit of texture paste. And then just go over my stencil and butter my bread. Make sure I get all my clouds. Doesn't smell too strong either, the texture paste. It's because it's a water-based product, it's not got any harmful chemicals in it or anything, so it's got a little bit of a gluey smell, I suppose, but that's about it really. So then just go over it and try and smooth out any areas, make sure I haven't missed anything. That'll do, and I'll scrape the excess back into my pot again. So you hardly use any of it really. Like that. So then I'm going to chuck my palette knife in my bowl again. And now I need to take my stencil off. So peel my stencil tape away again. Now you can see why I only use a little bit of stencil tape. Otherwise I'll end up using loads. Yeah, and just grab a corner and then just carefully lift it up. Just want to make sure that I don't end up marking the texture paste at all when I move the stencil. Chuck that in my water, and then I'm going to clean up a little bit just to make sure I've got a clean surface to work on. I am liking that spray bottle, it's fab. So much easier. So give that a quick wipe, and then I'm going to, because of course you can just leave that like that, especially because it's just clouds. Once that dries it will just go completely clear, and but you'll still get this, the texture of the paste, and the sort of the shine as well. So you could do that if you wanted as well. There's no reason why not. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some, I've got some glitters. I've got a blue glitter and I've got some, what's this? Diamond sprinkles, which I think is like a sort of, I'm not sure if it's a white glitter or an iridescent glitter or something like that. And I'm just going to use those. And all I'm going to do is just sprinkle them over the texture paste areas. So you can go as heavy or as light as you want. Make sure you haven't got any windows open when you do this, otherwise it might blow everywhere. So just tap all over my clouds. You can use whatever colour you want. It doesn't have to be a cloud stencil, there's all sorts of different stencils that you could use. So that's all that on there. And then I'm going to get my little piece of catchy paper. And then tap the excess off onto there. The excess back in my pot. Or at least most of it. And then with my second colour, I'm going to I'm going to do the white as my second colour. But because I've already got some glitter on there, I'm not going to be able to put the second colour straight back into the pot, into the pot that it's come from, because it may end up dropping out some of the blue glitter. So I've got another pot here which has just got an assortment of all sorts of different glitters, which is quite nice just on its own, isn't it? So I'm just going to pour the excess back into there. And then, so the idea is to cover all the exposed areas of texture paste with this glitter. Obviously you don't have to, you could leave some areas free, and then they would just end up being clear. And of course you won't know what the final effect is until it's actually dried. There we are, so that's that. Pour that onto my catchy paper. Yeah, see there's little bits of blue in there, so I can't put it back into the same pot. There we are. So that's quite a nice little technique because it's quite easy to do. And it's just, you get some nice glitters. I don't know what I've got on there. I've got a little bit of gilding flake, I think. The tweezers gone. Just use my pokey tools if I can get that off. It's going to bug me otherwise. A little later. There we are, so that's quite an easy technique as well. So just sprinkling a couple of colours of glitter. You can probably see the glitter a lot more on that actually, can't you? So that's, the texture paste is still wet at the moment. So I've used a different colour glitter with this, but this shows you the finished effect once it's been dried. Okay, so I should put that up there, out the way. I've got lots of little bits of card all over the place now, all drying. Right. this is the technique I wanted to show you. Oh, what's Ian going on about? My favourite. Thank you, Helen. Mix gilding flakes into the texture paste before putting through stencil. Yeah, I suppose if it was the fine gilding flakes, then that would probably work quite well, wouldn't it? I wouldn't go for the chunkier ones though. Right, so this technique is this one here. Ooh. This technique here. So it really sort of makes the clouds, gives them a lot more dimension, and there's a lot more roughness and specklediness to them. But it's really nice, really effective, and it looks really nice on all sorts of different stencil designs as well, not just on clouds. You could do it on all sorts of different things. Where's my stencil gone? Oh, it's soaking, isn't it? Just give that a quick dry. Anyone know when the clocks go forward? Is it long? Can't wait for the spring and summer to start. There we are, so that's nice and dry, and just dry my palette knife as well. Anything else anyone wants me to show them or give it a try? I will try mixing some texture paste with alcohol inks after. I'm sure that'll work. Do you think that'll work, Ian? End of April. End of April. Oh, surely not. That's ages away. Well, that's quite depressing if that's the case. It is getting lighter in the mornings, isn't it? Early in the morning it seems to be a bit lighter, which is good. Can't wait till we can start having barbecues again. I do like a nice barbecue. There we are, so that's my texture, my stencil tape on there. And what am I doing? Right, so I'm gonna get some more of my texture paste. Turn me back wonky. Oh, ooh, 27th of June, 27th of March rather. Oh, that's not so bad then, is it? Ian says you can mix them with the paste but drop at a time so it doesn't get too runny. So that's the alcohol inks. I wasn't sure if it would work with alcohol inks because they're alcohol based and this is water based. I didn't know if that would make a difference. Thank you, Donna. Donna says they're all amazing. You're too kind. Right, so once again I'm gonna butter my bread or toast, whichever you prefer. Might as well do the whole stencil. Don't have to if you don't want to. Make sure I've got all my clouds covered. pixie sparkle, I think, that's come from somewhere. Not that it matters. No, so that's more or less covered. Doesn't really matter too much because this is quite a dimensional technique as well, so it doesn't matter if it's a bit rough. Oh, Careless Whispers, yes. I don't know if we've got any careless. Have we got Careless Whispers here? Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got loads of Careless Whispers. Yeah. Airless Misters, if anyone is wondering. But we call them Careless Whispers. 'Cause why not? What are they, Donna? Airless Misters. You know the Airless Misters? These ones. We call them Careless Whispers, but they're Airless Misters. Yeah, so I might say, yeah, you can colour your texture paste with those as well. Oh, so that's the thing, there's so many different techniques that you can do. Or you can just spray them through your stencil. Chuck that in my bowl. And then I'm just going to give this a quick clean again. Just to make sure that I've got a nice clean surface. I'm loving this bottle. Yeah, you can have Cliff, Annie, and I'll have George Michael. Although at least Cliff's still alive, I suppose. He's the same age as my dad, Cliff Richard. Right, you're distracting me now. I've got a little bit of a hard bit there. Right, so this time I'm going to be using embossing powders. Ooh, embossing powders. So once again, it's the same, more or less exactly the same technique as using the glitters, but instead I'm going to be using embossing powders. Let me just get me a little pot. So I'm going to, you could use all sorts of different embossing powders. You could use coloured embossing powders, you could use clear embossing powders, you could use white embossing powders. You can also, what I might do as well if I have time, yes I will do, is you can actually mix your pixie sparkles or pixie powders in with embossing powders as well, and that will give you another effect as well, and that will change the colour. So I've got a couple of embossing powders here. This one is a twinkly one, so it's got glitter in it. Yes, I know, Ian, it's under there. Let me catch paper. So with the twinkly embossing powders, it's always a good idea to give them a good shake, because the embossing powder part of it usually tends to sink to the bottom, I think it is. Does it sink to the bottom, or does the glitter sink to the bottom? I don't know. One of them sinks to the bottom. So give it a good shake to mix them back up again. And then I'm just going to use the back of a spoon to just tap the embossing powder over my clouds onto the texture paste. But interesting to see what sort of effect I end up with, because it always seems to be different every time you do it. So just randomly scattering the powder over me clouds. A little bit more. A little bit excessive down the bottom there, but it doesn't matter. There we are, so that's that. And then it's a bit like alchemy this is, isn't it? We can just all sorts of different things. And then I've got some clear. Yeah, so with the clear, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix that with my pixie powder. This is Beyond Blue. And all I'm going to do is just take some of the clear in a little pot. Like that. And then I'm going to get some of my pixie powder and just tap a little bit of that in there. And see what it looks like. And the only reason I know this works because when I did my first sample I was experimenting and Ian had a pot lying around with some embossing powders in. I thought, oh, I'll try that. I might need a bit more actually. How long? Annie's asking how long the paste takes to dry. It probably takes. I would wait probably about an hour. I'll check the first one that I did at the very beginning of the live, because that would probably be about an hour ago. Soon. But yeah, I'd wait at least an hour. So just try and be patient. So still little bits of blue there, isn't there? That's probably from my pixie powders. Well, so then I'm going to sprinkle this all the way over. And because this has got the pixie sparkle in it, as you can see, as I'm sprinkling, it goes blue because it's reacting with the texture paste, because the texture paste is water based and the pixie sparkles react to water. Interesting. No, tap off the excess. Try and do it carefully so you don't tap off too much. No, and then obviously because I've got all sorts of different colours in there now, I'm not going to be able to put that back into the original pot. So I'll pop that in there. And I've got a nice soft brush here as well, so I'm going to use that to try and sweep up some of the excess powder. It's more the mica, I think, than anything that tends to grip. Well, so I've got a nice assortment of colours in there. There's even a bit of the rose gold that I had first of all. So I'll leave that to the side. This one is the one that I actually used first time. You can see it looks, doesn't look like much at all really, but that's the one that I actually used on this, which is how I got the sort of that blue effect from the blue mica. So it's one of those techniques that you just never know what you're going to get until you actually do it, which is quite fun. We like to live on the edge. Well, so that is my clouds. Nice and cloudy, don't they? And you can see that the pixie sparkles have actually started bursting a little bit because they reacted to the water. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mylar sheet out of the way because I don't want to heat on top of that. And I did have another plate. I can't find it, no sir, I won't bother. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my heat gun to heat the texture paste and the embossing powder. So just let that warm up a little bit first of all. And then I'm sure it does take a while to do because you've got to get the texture paste heated up as well as the embossing powders. But of course, doing it this way, it dries the powders as well, so and you'll see I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but the texture paste does sort of bubble a little bit. And if you've got glitters, then they start dancing as well. Probably help with a 2-speed heat gun. This one is just a 1-speed, so it does tend to take a little bit longer. Don't know if you can see the paste bubbling at all. Doesn't bubble very much, just sort of lifts off a little bit. I won't bore you by doing all of this, I'll just do a little bit. There we are. So I've just done the bottom half of that, just so you can sort of see the difference. As it dries, you get more of the glitter shining through because the texture paste has dried. So you should be able to see a little bit of a difference there as it bubbled. And of course I've got glitter all over the place now on my table. It's like it's snowing glitter. So just to show you the one I did first of all. So this one, you can see the texture there, and you can feel it as well. It's much rougher. And then the same with that one as well. You can see it goes more glittery and less glossy once it's heated. So I'll heat the rest of it later. So there we are. That gives you an idea of that technique, which is fab. So we do have this sample card. I did take it into the shop. What's today? Tuesday. Yesterday. I did take it into the shop yesterday. So so if you pop into the shop anytime soon, you'll be able to have a look at that in the flesh, and you'll be able to see how nice that is. So thank you, Janet, for sharing that with us. Really fun. So right, let me just see if I can grab my texture paste. Not texture paste. If I can grab my alcohol inks. Where are they? Fourth drawer down. Put these back up as well. So I'll just quickly try mixing a bit of texture paste with an alcohol ink. I don't know if I've got a spare pot. You got any spare pots, Ian? I might have to. I'm going to nick one of his pots. One of these little pots. And I'll mix it in this. Right. So just grab my palette knife again. Oh dear, I've just dropped one of my samples on the floor. It's alright, it landed up the right way. It's lucky, wasn't it? Annie says she loves the card that I've made. Thank you, Annie. Nice and simple, isn't it? Just a nice background, nice sentiment. I love that sentiment as well. Life's about the journey, not the destination. Isn't that so true? And then just a couple of tiny little gems just at the bottom. Just nice and simple. I do like simple. Right, so let me have a look. Now what colour should I go for? What about a nice orange? Sunset orange. Let's go sunset orange, shall we? So this is sunset orange alcohol ink. Thank you, Shira. Will it go dry in that pot? Not if I use it. I'll mix it in the pot and then I'll use it. So if I get some of that, make sure it's clean first of all. There we are. And then a couple of blobs. Well, if I just give it a blob, because it's quite strong in colour, the alcohol ink, so let's see how that does. See, that gives quite a strong colour just on its own, just with one blob. Yes, it mixes fine, doesn't it? Nice. But of course, I need more than one blob because I like it nice and strong. There we are. Stick another blob in there. Ooh, lovely colour, isn't it? Nice and summery. That's what we want, isn't it? So yes, Shira, in answer to your question, you can mix alcohol inks with texture paste. Took us a while, but we got there eventually. That's lovely, that is, isn't it? Really nice. So that's the thing. There's no point in buying colour texture pastes because you can just colour them with so many different mediums. With all sorts of different things that you've got. So just dry my stencil again quickly so I can just try this. Thank you for that, Shira. It's good to try new things, isn't it? Try things that we haven't tried before. What's the worst that can happen? Yes, you probably could, Annie. Mix watercolours. Yeah, the iridescent watercolours. Yeah, that would work as well. I don't know if it would take away the iridescence, that's the only thing. That was the only thing I was going to have a look at, wasn't it? I was going to look on... I think it was on this one, when I used the Groovy Grape Pixie Sparkle. Hasn't dried yet, that. But it's probably going to take away any of the mica shimmeriness. So it will probably do the same with the iridescent watercolours. So as long as you don't mind that, then go for it. So again, just a little bit of my texture paste, keep calling it texture paste, stencil tape. Just to hold it in place. And then my little jaunty angle as usual. And then butterby toast. Don't know if orange clouds are a thing. I suppose you do get orange clouds when it's sunset. Who cares? have whatever colour clouds you want, can't you? Fill that in. I think I've probably done just about enough as well, just the right amount. Maybe a bit too much, but not too bad. There we are. So chuck that in the water. Take off my stencil tape again. Ooh, yes, toadstools and fairies. That'd be perfect, wouldn't it? To match my orange clouds. Shove that in the water. Let's give this a quick squirt to clean it up. Oh, there we are. All sorts of things you can do, isn't there? See, that looks nice, doesn't it? Nice and orange. Nice bit of orange in there. So, what have we done? What was the first thing I did? I think the first thing I did was this one, wasn't it? Which was inking with my opaque ink pads and then putting the texture paste over the top. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? Ooh, all shimmery. So if I have a look, yeah, it's almost, it's just a little bit tacky, but not too bad. And that's probably been about an hour or so, maybe just over an hour. So yeah, I'd probably give it a couple of hours, and then you know that it's going to be, it won't be a problem if you need to cut it down or anything. You're not going to end up getting marks on your guillotine. So that was the inking behind. Then this one was mixing in Pixie Sparkles into the texture paste. So that's quite nice as well, and that's, yeah, that's almost dry as well. And then we did the gilding polishes, which dry more or less straight away anyway, so that's those. They're all done. And let me shift a few of these things out of the way. Got some lovely colours here, haven't we? And then we did the glittery one with the glitter, the blue glitter and the clear glitter, which was nice. Nice bit of glitter. And then the embossing powder technique. So I've heated the bottom area, I just need to heat the top area on this one. And then, so obviously once you've heated it, that's dry, but this is still wet. And then what I would do afterwards, once it's all dry, is I'll just use my nice soft brush and just give it a quick brush over to get rid of any excess embossing powder or glitter or mica or anything else that's on there. And then this last one was the one that I did with the alcohol ink, Sunset Orange alcohol ink. That was 2 drops I put in there. and that gives a nice effect as well, and it just changes the colour of the texture paste. So once that's dry, it'll probably go even more orange because the texture paste is clear. So or it's clear when it's dry anyway. So so that'll be interesting to see as well. So once all of these are dried, I'll cut them all down and I'll take them into the shop. I'll probably post some photos on our Facebook page as well for everyone to see. And of course this was my original inspiration. So that was the glittery one that I did. And then that was the card that I did with the heat embossing as well, which was really nice. Okay, there we are. So I think that's all I'm going to do today. Hope you enjoyed that, and you've learned something. I've learned something as well. I've learned that I can mix alcohol inks in with texture pastes. So there we are. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Most of the products are available in the shop, and if they're not, we'll have them back in again very soon. And I don't know when we'll do another live, but I'm sure we'll get some inspiration for something. We're always having new products in, so we'll do another live quite soon. Okie doke. Well, thank you for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for joining, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe on YouTube to our channel so you get notified when we upload new videos. Thank you. Thanks, Shira. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Janet. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the sun while it lasts, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.